Ever notice that expression, time flies when you're having fun? That's because we get in the moment and love what we're doing. Kids get like this all the time because they love to play. And when you need them to stop playing, it's the hardest. That's why you can't get their attention, and you either need them to stop and listen to you, to go to bed, to clean up, to do something, and they don't stop and listen. That's why I made this video, to help give you some tips and tricks on how to get them to stop and listen to you. This is one video out of a series that I've made. So if you want to follow along, grab the guidebook from kidsmoveandlearn.com or a note paper and go back and watch all of the videos. And if you don't have time, this video is going to give you some tips and tricks that you can use right away, because I get it, you're busy as a parent. So let's dive in and figure out ways that you can intercept that time when they're busy playing. Before we talk about kids, think about ourselves for a moment. Think about a time when you're having so much fun and you lost track of time, or you didn't even look at the time or use the time or have any kind of an agenda because maybe you're on a vacation or you weren't working. How did it feel to be in that moment of time? It was pretty awesome, right? Kids live in that moment all the time. Have you heard that story of the mom walking her 2-year-old to the park, and they went to go play on some swings or slides, but they never got there? And why, you might ask? Because kids get so distracted by all the things along the way. Every moment in time is them. Every moment along the way is precious to them. The rocks, the sticks, the flowers. Mom has two choices. She could either get all frustrated and upset that the plans were ruined and they didn't get to the park, or she could be so delightful and excited and happy along the way that the child was enjoying all of these moments in time. If mom focuses on the goal, that's when the conflict will begin, because the goal of getting to the park is really about the future, whereas the child is in the moment of now, looking at what's in front of him or her. What's interesting to notice is that also the older the kids get, the more difficult it seems to be for a parent to stay in that moment of time with children, especially as they get to being around that preschool age. Let me give you an example. When they're 3 months old, you are probably absorbed in the smell, the feel, the touch, the sights, all the movements that 3-monther has. And then when they're 1, you're absorbed in, they're walking, they're starting to talk, or the way they use a toy. But then when they're 2, or actually better yet, when they're 3 or 4, it's like us parents seem like we need to start putting all of these things on them and taking them places and putting pressure on them to do stuff. And we have all the structure. All we do is thinking about the future. But the reality is, kids can experience so much along the way and along the path than the actual destination. And then it avoids a lot of conflict, because young children are almost always in the moment. They're focused on the here and now. They're naturally curious. They're playful. They are self-paced. This makes them very attentive and focused in the moment. And when their attention shifts, it's usually because they're excited about something or something silly or unusual happens. You've seen it, like a quiet or sad child, and then something funny happens and they light up like a light bulb. So it's that silly expression, squirrel, where something catches their attention and their mind just shifts. Well, the same can happen to an undesired interruption, except that would create a negative reaction instead of a positive reaction. Let's think as an adult for a moment. Imagine you're lying on the couch reading a good book and just enjoying what you love to do, and someone from the other room calls you for attention to do something. You call out later because you really don't want to lose the moment you're in. But how do you feel when they keep asking you? It's unexpected, right? And you don't want to stop what you're doing. So as an adult, what do? Your mindset is on the book, but they're pulling your attention. Well, as an adult, you likely have the ability to rationalize on what to do, and you either respond, I'll come in a few minutes, or you are negatively reacting and ignoring them. What's another way that they could shift your attention? So here's an example that could look completely different and actually shift and captivate your attention. Imagine you're on the couch enjoying this book, and this other person walks quietly into the room and comments on your book and asks a question or two about your book. They have actually started to get in your moment of time with what you're interested in. And then maybe you have a short conversation. And then they say, hey, can I get your help with something for a minute before you turn back and finish reading? Do you think you'll probably go help them? Has your attention shifted? Most likely. And it was way better than calling out from the other room. And they've noticed your moment in time. So imagine you're a child playing with toys and your mom calls you from the other room to do something. They have had less years of practice to stop and shift their attention. So that likely means that they've just ignored you. And so you as an adult have to probably try some intentional ways to get their attention. Let's think of it in a different way. What if they're playing with their toys in the room and you really need them to come for lunch? So you go into the room where they're playing and you talk to them for a moment about what they're playing or interact with them for a couple minutes. And then you tell them it's time to clean up and go for lunch. How is this the same or different than you reading a book? Do you think you might be more likely to shift their attention and get them to follow your directions? Most likely, you've probably got them to stop playing for a minute to listen to you, because the first time they stopped playing and listened to you was about what they were doing. And I know it's not always easy because there's many pieces to guiding behavior, but if you keep in mind about being present, being in that moment, and why the child needs it, it's one piece to this puzzle to help you make a significant change in behavior. So let's look more closely at why being present can actually help kids' behavior. First of all, when you play, you are in the here and now. Play is good for the mind, for the body, and for the soul. Even as adults, when you think about play, think about how good it is for you. Children live for play. The dictionary definition of play is to engage in activity for enjoyment and reaction that's not serious or practical purpose. But for children, play is their work. It's how they learn. It's how they explore curiosity and experiment with their senses, discover cause and effect, and most of all, how they reenact and practice their skills that they're learning. This is where they learn their executive functioning skills. That's their adaptable thinking, their planning, their self-monitoring, their self-control, working memory, time management, and organization. Those are all things that are going on inside that we may not realize as parents. There's a lot of science around executive functioning, so I encourage you to look it up. There's also the idea of matched pacing and modeling. If you are matching and pacing them, then they're more likely to copy you and follow you. Have you heard of all those expressions where children are watching you? Children copy what they see. It's like the monkey see sort of imitation. Children imitate you. There's actually the science around mirror neurons where they'll actually copy you also. So if you model things, then you're more likely going to get a matched affect and response. So what could it look like if you were matching being in the moment? It might be where you're sitting on the floor, talking and listening to each other, looking at the same things, talking about the same things, laughing, being silly. Some people say that belly breathing or yoga or things like that are the best way to calm your body, be present, be mindful, and to relax. But it seems like that term mindfulness has been used a lot lately. But being present to support children shifting their mindset for behaviors doesn't always mean calm, relaxing strategies. Because if they're high energy and you're calm, relaxing, you're actually in two different energy moments of time. You're not really pacing each other together. So I think then the first step might be, if you want to shift them from a high energy, is to use some play or humor. So play or humor is a huge strategy to shift attention and to get two people in the moment. And I say this because, have you ever seen two people laughing? They're clearly in the moment, enjoying that time of laughter about the same thing usually. So it's a great strategy to get kids to be in the moment. Remember though, that typically there's also some kind of connection in place before these strategies really work. Connection is its own thing and found in another video, but it's really important because sometimes if you don't have that, it really could be hard to get a child to be in the moment. Here's a little bit more about why playfulness or humor works. Think about a time when you're really busy doing something and how play or humor catches your attention. As adults, our play is really like our hobbies or our interests, but to children, play is their life. They see the world through play. So joining in and adding value to play is the best way to get their attention. Especially it helps if you're about to ask them to do an undesired activity. find a way to shift their thinking through play or humor is super powerful. In a minute, I'm going to show you 5 key ways to catch their attention through play or humor. First, I want you to think about ways that catch your child's attention. Take a minute now, either pause the video and grab a piece of paper or write it down on the guidebook. How your child's attention can get caught quickly and easily. What are the things that distract them that either are silly or fun or just get them in this moment of time, the present now? Here are 5 ways to catch their attention through play or humor. Add something to your body in an unusual way and act like it's normal. For example, a wig, a sock on your hand, putting on a shirt backwards. For example, if your child won't put on their shirt and it's becoming a negative situation, try putting it on your head and see what happens. Number 2, start using parallel talk. Parallel talk is when you're labeling what you see. Try it before giving them directions. It's not a way of being fully engaged in their play, but it's a way of noticing what they're doing. It can be about the child, things that they're using. For example, I see wheels are moving so fast up and down that ramp. Number 3, pick up a toy or a similar item that they are using and join in the play or play alongside them. Number 4, try self-talking with some humor. Describing what you're doing out loud is called self-talk. Add some various voice pitches, like talking baby gibberish or some other high pitch to mix it up, or add in some silly words like, I think I'm going to walk in circles. Number 5, start playing with your own thing across the room, but make some unusual noises or comments so they hear you too. Maybe grab a book, turn it upside down, look at the pictures. Why are all these people upside down? Or pick up a ball and start rolling it to a target and cheering on the ball. Think about how these catch attention. They are really simple ways to shift the focus. And it may not happen all at once, and you may have to spend some time on it. And you might even need to mix them up sometimes and try different ones on different days. But most of the time, these things can really help a lot. Now go back to your list where you wrote a bunch of ideas that your children really like to do or things that distract them, and think about some others that you can add to the list. Think about which ones are also more effective. You might want to just star those or make a note next to them. Not all of them work with all kids, and it really depends on many other factors, but especially thinking about your individual child, think about what works for them. Think about what works for them now, and keep this list handy because sometimes those distractions shift over time. So in this video, we covered that children live in the moment of now. They don't live in the past or the future, and adults can guide their behavior by being in that present moment also. And the other really important tip to think about is that there's many ways to be present, but play or humor is the most common way to shift attention. So if you really want to make this video meaningful to your individual situation, I really recommend following these 3 suggestions and using your guidebook and your notes to help you shift that behavior. And to really make significant changes, watch all of the videos that can be found at kidsmoveandlearn.com and use the guidebook, and you'll see some significant changes. But right now, I'm pretty sure that this tip of joining them in that present moment and shifting their attention when you want to give them directions can make a huge difference for you. Try these things out, and when you're ready, come back for the next video. Don't forget, if you like this video or find any of it helpful, please share and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you will get notified as soon as new videos are available.